Hey everyone, and welcome back to Evolve Every Day. Have you ever felt like your kindness was being taken for granted, or worse, used against you? There's a powerful truth in the old saying, you are the company you keep. The right people will lift you up and help you grow, but the wrong ones can drain your energy and bring chaos into your life. Today, we're going to dive deep into the types of people you should be cautious of, the ones whose presence can do more harm than good. Recognizing them is the first step to protecting your peace. So stick with me until the end because the insights we're about to share might just change the way you see your relationships forever. 1. The ungrateful and endlessly demanding. First on our list, we have the ungrateful and endlessly demanding person. These are the individuals who see your kindness not as a gift, but as an obligation. They believe they are entitled to your help. They will take and take, always demanding more without ever thinking to give anything back. You could move mountains for them and they wouldn't truly appreciate it. But the moment you can't meet one of their demands or something doesn't go their way, they will turn on you in a heartbeat. Associating with someone like this is a recipe for heartbreak and eventual disaster. 2. The envious person. Number 2, the envious person. This is the friend who is secretly always in competition with you. They have to be better, have more, and win at everything, no matter the cost. Their compliments often feel like backhanded insults, laced with sarcasm. They seem to find joy in pointing out your weaknesses, all while keeping a scorecard of who's ahead. This constant, silent competition is exhausting and makes a genuine, long-term friendship impossible. Time is a river that only flows one way. It never comes back. If we waste it by constantly looking at what others are doing, we lose sight of our own incredible potential. We start to lose ourselves in the fog of envy. Instead of getting caught in this negative loop, we should invest that time in ourselves, in our skills, our growth, and our own journey. We need to cultivate a heart that is generous, one that can feel genuine joy for other successes and compassion for their struggles. When you change your thoughts, you literally change your world. Everyone is on their own unique path, with their own right to make their own choices. We have to respect that. We can't judge others by our own standards. Instead, try to put yourself in their shoes and understand their perspective. To build a truly noble character, we have to let go of envy. It's not about ignoring competition, but about competing fairly without tearing others down to get ahead. Don't let envy poison your soul, because once you let it go, you'll see just how beautiful and worthy this life truly is. 3. The person who devalues family. Third, be wary of the person who devalues family. Family is our first connection to love, support, and responsibility. It's built on a bond of shared history, of parents who love and sacrifice for their children without asking for anything in return, and of children who show respect and gratitude. It's the foundation of how we learn to treat others. There's a wise old saying, how a person treats their family reveals their true character. Think about it. If someone can't even treat the parents who gave them life with basic kindness and respect, how can you ever expect them to be a loyal, wholehearted friend to you? 4. The person who constantly looks down on others. Number 4 is the person who constantly looks down on others. In life, we all have our own place. Some may have more social status or wealth, while others might be struggling just to get by. Some people are incredibly talented and achieve great things. However, this is all just a temporary arrangement. As the saying goes, there's always a bigger fish in the sea. You should never compare your greatest strengths to someone else's weaknesses. Truly wise and accomplished people are humble. They don't feel the need to show off. One of the most telling signs of a poor character is arrogance, the habit of looking down on others. It doesn't matter if you're a CEO or a janitor, every single person has dignity and self-respect that should never be violated. People who are arrogant and condescending, who treat others as less than, are often small-minded. Their friendship is transactional. They'll keep you around as long as you're useful, But the second you no longer serve their purpose, they will cast you aside without a second thought. 5. The person consumed by materialism. A wise person once said that honorable people value their integrity, while petty people only value profit. Someone whose heart is filled only with self-interest will never truly value love, family, or friendship. To this kind of person, personal gain is greater than anything else in the world. They connect with you only when they feel you have value, when you can be used. The moment you are no longer useful, they will cast you aside without a second thought. They possess no genuine affection, and there's a chilling emptiness in all their relationships. If you get close to them, sooner or later, you will be betrayed. They are the type to fawn over the rich and powerful while scorning the poor, never treating people with genuine sincerity. With this type of person, it's best to keep your distance because you will never find a true heart in them. 6. The two-faced person. Two-faced people never genuinely respect those around them. Their kindness is always a performance with a hidden motive. Once they've achieved their goal, that beautiful facade crumbles away. A two-faced person lives to pull others down, to play dirty, even to stab you in the back in your career, your personal life, or your relationships. When you encounter them, you must be cautious and master your own emotions to avoid being dragged into their destructive games. The person who insults you to your face is far less dangerous than the one with a hidden, malicious, two-faced nature in their heart. This type is always calculating, always scheming their next foul move. They will pretend to help you when you're in front of them, only to sabotage you behind your back. With someone like this, the less contact you have, the better. You never know when you might become their next victim. 7. The person who only shows up to ask for favors. This is the kind of person who never calls to check in, who never cares, who never shares in your life. They might even pretend not to see you despite your best efforts to be friendly. But then one day, out of the blue, they'll contact you, acting like you're the best of friends, all to make it easier to ask for a favor, from something huge to the most trivial little thing. Helping a friend in need is a beautiful thing, but don't let your kindness become a doormat for others to wipe their feet on. 8. The emotionally volatile person. There are people who have absolutely no control over their own emotions. They will pour all their negativity onto those around them with the twisted belief that you are the source of their turmoil. Not only will you fail to make them more rational, but you'll likely be pulled down into their chaotic emotional currents. While some people may not be a threat to your physical safety or your finances, they can still threaten your social standing and your peace of mind. This explains some of the most baffling human behaviors, like someone turning on and harming the very person who once helped them financially. Man is at once the glory and the scum of the universe, the French philosopher Blaise Pascal concluded back in 1658. And it has always been so. Humans are capable of great love and great hatred. We help each other, but we also harm each other. We can extend one hand to save a life and use the other to plunge a knife. This also describes those who always take the path of least resistance. They have no convictions of their own and can be swayed to believe that any side is right. If you ever feel like you're slowly being brainwashed by what someone else believes, be careful. Some people simply cannot manage their feelings. They will constantly lash out and point the finger at you, blaming you for their own terrible mood. These individuals are often ineffective in their own lives because their emotions cloud their judgment, and their lack of control destroys the relationships around them. Be wary of the emotionally volatile because they will not hesitate to use you as an emotional punching bag to vent their frustrations. It's tough to spot this type at first because you often feel sympathy for their problems, but over time, you realize they are a magnet for drama. They always shirk responsibility by framing everything as an impossible task. They never see a challenge as an opportunity to learn and grow. For them, it's always a dead end. You need to stay far away from these people. Learning to read and understand people is a vast and profound study. Throughout our lives and all of history, there are countless stories of great successes built on the ability to see others clearly, and just as many tragedies caused by failing to recognize a toxic person in time. If you cannot change them, then walk away to protect your own peace. In life, there's one type of person you should never help, lest you invite disaster upon yourself. In life, we all go through hard times and need a helping hand. However, there is one type of person that, no matter how much they plead or beg, you should not help. That is the ungrateful person, the one who is never satisfied. You can give to them time and time again, help them over and over, but the one single time you can't, they will immediately turn on you. You can agree to every single one of their requests, but if you refuse just once, they will hold a grudge against you for a lifetime. You have to understand, there are people out there who are just like wolves in the wild. They don't know the meaning of gratitude. They don't know how to say thank you. And then there are others, cold-blooded and heartless, like snakes. To them, your kindness is just a piece of candy. Once they've eaten it, it's gone and forgotten. But your flaws? Oh, they treat those like a seed. They plant it, water it, and watch it grow into a towering tree of resentment with roots that run deep. You'll find people who never repay a kind heart with a kind heart. They are only accustomed to taking, demanding, and they've completely forgotten how to be thankful. They see your compassion as weakness. They take your goodness for granted. Everything you do for them is simply something they believe they're entitled to. In this world, there is a type of person that is truly draining to be around, the ungrateful one. You could save them one day and they'll forget the debt the very next. They receive your help, they benefit from your grace, but they are always ready to deny it, to bite the hand that feeds them, showing no loyalty, no heart. These people tend to be incredibly self-centered, with a shocking disregard for the value of others. The ungrateful person always expects others to sacrifice for them, to bring them benefits, to help them, without ever feeling the need to give anything, not even a little, in return. They are masters of seizing every small, fleeting advantage for themselves. The ungrateful person always sees the help and effort of others as a given, an absolute certainty. And if things don't go their way, they're quick to feel resentment and blame everyone else, never once stopping to consider the feelings of the people they're hurting. This is why an ungrateful person is someone you should not help. There's a powerful old proverb that says, "A scoop of rice earns you gratitude, but a whole basket earns you an enemy." This means that when someone is in dire need, hungry and struggling, and you give them a little bit of help, a scoop of rice, they will be incredibly grateful and appreciative. But if you help them continuously, giving them more, and then one day you have to stop, they will turn on you. They'll lash out with blame and hatred, completely forgetting all the kindness you've ever shown them. So when it comes to these ungrateful, disloyal people, the more you help them, the more you will lose. Their hearts are as cold as a venomous snake, their nature as predatory as a wolf. The kinder you are to them, the more they will look down on you and treat you as if you are nothing. You must not help someone who lacks a grateful heart, because in the end, all you will receive for your efforts is pain and betrayal, never appreciation or respect. That's why, from this day forward, you have to learn to read people carefully. Before you decide to help someone, take a moment to assess if they are truly worthy of your help. Doing good deeds is a wonderful thing, but it should never be done blindly. You must practice it with measure and wisdom, because human greed is a bottomless pit. For those who are never satisfied, your own kindness will one day become the weapon that harms you. You can't wake up a person who is only pretending to be asleep, and you will never, ever be able to satisfy a person who is ungrateful and greedy. Kindness and compassion are free, but they are not cheap. Your goodness must be given to the right people, and your love must be guided by reason. Remember, not everyone deserves to receive your kindness and love. If you find this video to be practical and applicable to your life, please comment with the number 9. If not, comment with the number 0. Your feedback means a great deal to us. Thank you for your precious time. 3 types of people you should absolutely never get entangled with financially. There's an old saying about letting go of possessions to save a person, but sometimes the more money you give away, the more trouble you invite into your life. We tell ourselves that friends must help each other in times of need, especially when we're in a position to do so. But helping with your time or effort is one thing. When money gets involved, you need to think twice and be far more cautious. Financial troubles have the power to turn the closest of friends into the bitterest of enemies. That's why you have to learn how to help, how to lend money in the right way. Don't let yourself get into that soul-crushing situation where you lend money like a friend, only to have to beg for it back like a stranger. The wisdom of our ancestors often warns us. Borrow from family, not from strangers. Borrow from those near, not those far. Borrow little, not much, and never lend to the lazy or in a sudden panic. In particular, they identified 3 types of people with whom you should never get tangled up financially, especially when it comes to lending money. 1. The type who bites the hand that feeds them. I had a friend, let's call him Alex, who had a habit of living on borrowed money. It wasn't that his family was poor. In fact, they were quite comfortable. But Alex loved to spend lavishly, and no amount of money ever seemed to be enough for him. He was still getting an allowance from his family, and even though he was a grown man, he had never held a real job. He had no concept of the value of a dollar, and absolutely no ability to manage his own finances. His life was a cycle of parties and chasing thrills. He was obsessed with his public image and always had to appear generous in front of others, even if it was with money that wasn't his. And when his wallet was empty, he'd come to his friends, one after another, time after time, asking for a loan. The first couple of times, people might come up with an excuse to say no, but this person was persistent. Eventually, nobody wanted to be seen as the stingy one, so they'd cave and lend him the money. And the second he got it, a complete 180. The gratitude? Gone. The friendly demeanor? Vanished. It was as if he completely forgot who helped him out when he was in a tight spot. Even his best friend, let's call him Brian, when he genuinely needed his money back for an emergency, got an earful. The guy yelled right in his face, "We're friends and you're bugging me over a few bucks? You act like I'm gonna run off with it. Man, you are so cheap." This is why you should never let the fear of offending someone push you into lending money. There's a very real chance you'll never see that money again, and you'll end up with a ruined friendship and a bad reputation for your trouble. 2. Those trapped by a poverty mindset. Imagine this: a young man born into a family that didn't have much. His parents sacrificed everything, skipping meals and working themselves to the bone just so their kids could get an education. He's been out of college for over 3 years now, but he's never held down a stable job to help his family. In his mind, working for someone else is demeaning. It's beneath him. So he never gives his all at any job. He's just waiting for that one big opportunity, that $1 million idea that will make him rich overnight. And while he's unemployed, with no money to his name, he shamelessly goes to his relatives for loans. He seeks out anyone who seems to be doing well, gets friendly, and then hits them up for cash. If they refuse, he goes around town bad-mouthing them, calling them cold-hearted and saying they don't care if their own family lives or dies. But if someone's heart softens and they help him, he becomes a bottomless pit. He never stops finding new excuses to borrow more and more. This cycle just reinforces his refusal to work seriously, which means he never has the money to pay anyone back. His relatives are left with lost money and a heavy burden, getting nothing but trouble for their kindness. The lesson here is, Even if it's family asking for money, you have to look at their character. You have to observe their actions. Never hand your hard-earned cash over to someone with a toxic mindset, who is lazy, entitled, and refuses to help themselves. 3. The type who borrows in a lump sum but pays back in pocket change. This is a classic move from people who borrow for personal wants, not for genuine emergencies. It's not money that saved them from a crisis, so there's no real gratitude, no deep appreciation. In fact, when it's time to pay up, they become incredibly stingy. This type of person will almost never pay you back on their own. You constantly have to be the one to bring it up. And even when they have the money, they won't pay it all back at once. They'll give you a little here, a little there. Before you know it, you can't even remember how much they still owe. You get so tired and frustrated of chasing them that you just write it off, thinking, forget it, it's not worth the hassle. So, remember, a loan can be a powerful magnifying glass for a person's true character. It shows you if they're as generous as they appear on the outside, or if deep down, they're always calculating, always selfish, and always putting themselves first. IV, 4 truths we often forget. 1. Without appreciation, a mountain of gold won't bring you joy. Forever? How long is that really? It takes years to understand that nothing in this world truly lasts forever. A friendship can dissolve the moment you walk away. A romance can fade the moment you let go. People who are meant to leave will leave, and waiting a lifetime for someone who was never meant to arrive is a hopeless sorrow. Cherish what you have in your hands, right here, right now, because in the next second, you never know if it will still be yours. 2. Without forgiveness, even a crowd of friends will eventually walk away. The saying goes, water that is too pure has no fish. A person who is too critical has no friends. Why is it so easy to see the speck in your brother's eye, but not the plank in your own? Being forgiving isn't that hard. The real question is, do you have enough compassion? And compassion isn't hard either. The real question is, can you learn to think of others before yourself? 3. Without gratitude, you can be brilliant, but success will always be out of reach. When you drink water, remember the one who dug the well. The person before us plants the tree so we can enjoy the shade. A fish is grateful for the water. A bird is grateful for the sky. This right here is the true source of happiness. 4. Without action, all the intelligence in the world won't lead to achievement. The knowledge you get from books is, at the end of the day, shallow. To truly understand anything, you have to do it, to experience it yourself. Remember this, the school of life will teach you lessons 100 times more valuable and more costly than any textbook. A dream becomes sacred, it becomes powerful, only when you bring it into the real world and make it happen. Without collaboration, even your greatest efforts will fall short of true greatness. There's an old saying that the right time isn't as good as the right place, and the right place isn't as good as having the right people by your side. When you can harness the wisdom and strength of a team, there's no obstacle you can't overcome. A single stick is easily broken, but a bundle of them is unbreakable. Without knowing how to save, even the most skilled earner will struggle to build real wealth. Look through the stories of history, and you'll find a common theme. Greatness is built on frugality, and ruin is born from extravagance. Don't spend 3 years gathering firewood only to burn it all in a single hour. Without contentment, even if you were richer, you'd struggle to find happiness. True peace comes from knowing you have enough. The endless pursuit of more only leads to a weary heart and a broken spirit, inviting illness and shortening your life. A person feels happy not because they possess a lot, but because they desire little. Without understanding the path to well-being, no amount of treatment can guarantee a long life. It's far better to prevent an illness than to cure one that has already taken hold. Instead of waiting until you're sick to seek help, why not learn the art of living well now? The greatest secret to a long life isn't about expensive supplements or fancy retreats. It's about nurturing your spirit, mending your character, and spreading kindness. When your heart is at peace, your body will follow. Without truly knowing how to live, the longer you are alive, the more dull it will feel. A great spirit doesn't wither with age. Even in death, it remains heroic. Life is a journey. What truly matters isn't the final destination, but the incredible scenery you experience along the way. Now, let's explore 9 things that are simply impossible. First, there's something you can never exploit, and that is kindness. The kinder a person is, the less they suspect the ill intentions of others. Kindness is a precious treasure. If it's used and abused for selfish gain, that treasure will wither and may even disappear entirely. And when kindness is replaced by cold indifference, think of how many people will be hurt in the process. Second, there's something you can never deceive, and that is emotion. You can joke around with almost anything, but never play with someone's feelings. Never lie to a person who has placed their trust in you. The people who are genuinely good to you are a blessing in your life. Don't let them slip away. Third, there's a feeling you can never trifle with, and that is sincerity. You've all heard the story of the boy who cried wolf. Even a small lie told as a joke can cause immense pain. When you play games with someone's sincere heart, in the end, you're the one who will have to face the consequences. Fourth, there is something you cannot live without, and that is friendship. At home, you rely on family, but out in the world, you lean on your friends. A good friendship is beautiful, like adding embroidery to silk. But a great friendship is precious, like being given a warm coal on a freezing, snowy day. A person without friends has a soul as barren as stone. Fifth, there's something that can never be fully captured by words, and that is longing. It's a feeling that becomes a memory, a past moment that now only brings a beautiful ache. You can't buy your way out of it. It's a deep, personal story that words can only hint at. Sixth, there is something that can never truly be forgiven, and that is betrayal. Those who betray their friends are often, without realizing it, destroying themselves. If someone betrays you, you can choose to forgive them for your own peace of mind, as if the wound never happened. But from that day forward, never, ever trust them again. Seventh, there is something that cannot be rescued, and that is despair. If you were to brush away the cold dust covering despair, you would find a ferocious, untamed power hidden beneath it, something completely irrational and impossible to reason with. Once a person falls into despair, they no longer fear anything. They wouldn't even hesitate to tear at their own wounded heart with their bare hands. Eighth, there is something that must never be forgotten, and that is gratitude. Life needs a grateful heart to create, and a grateful heart needs a lifetime of cultivation. And ninth, there is something that you must never crave, and that is fame and fortune. Don't chase after status and wealth. They are the enemies of your true self. It is far better to be a peaceful soul, content with the universe, than to be a powerful person chasing a title. Ultimately, all we really need is someone in this life to understand and love us. Life is full of surprises, and sometimes it's more heartbreaking than we imagine. A shop owner hung a sign on his door that read, "Puppies for sale." Signs like that have a special magic for children, and sure enough, a little boy soon appeared. "How much are you selling these puppies for?" he asked. The owner replied, "Anywhere from $30 to $50. The little boy reached into his pocket and pulled out some change. "I have $2.37, he said. "Can I please see them?" The shop owner smiled and let out a whistle. From the kennel, the mother dog came running out, followed by 5 tiny balls of fur. One little puppy, however, was lagging far behind, limping awkwardly. Immediately, the boy pointed to the small hobbled dog. "What's wrong with that little one?" he asked. The owner explained that the vet had already taken a look and said the little guy had a bad hip. He was going to limp for the rest of his life. he'd always be lame. The little boy's eyes welled up with emotion. "I want to buy that puppy," he said, his voice full of resolve. The owner gently replied, "Son, you probably don't want to buy that puppy, but if you really want him, I'll just give him to you." The boy got a little upset. He looked the owner right in the eye and said, "I don't want you to just give him to me. That little puppy is worth every bit as much as all the other dogs, and I'll pay the full price. In fact, I'll give you $2.37 now and 50 cents a month until he's all paid for." The owner protested, "You really don't want to buy that puppy, son. He's never going to be able to run and jump and play with you like the other puppies." At that, the little boy reached down, slowly rolled up his pant leg, and revealed a badly twisted, shrunken leg supported by a heavy metal brace. He looked up at the owner and said softly, "Well, I don't run so well myself, and that little puppy is going to need someone who understands." The owner was left speechless. You see, everyone carries some kind of hidden pain, a perceived flaw they might keep silent within themselves. And all they truly need is someone in this life who understands them and loves them for who they are. Each of us can be disabled in our own way. A physical disability might demand twice the effort to navigate a world built for the able-bodied. But what's often far more difficult isn't the physical loss, but the judgment, the coldness, or the pity from those who were, by chance, more fortunate. Don't let your spirit become disabled. Imagine how much more beautiful the world would be if we could all be like that little boy, using our own struggles to empathize with and share in the struggles of others. That twisted leg may have kept him from running, but you can be sure that with a soul so open, so pure, and a heart so full of love for the world around him, that little boy could fly. This brings us to our next lesson. The line between a strength and a weakness doesn't exist within us, but rather in the minds of others. There was once a wealthy man who, before passing away, wanted to divide his fortune among his sons, giving the most to the one with the most mature character. This brings us to our next lesson. The line between a strength and a weakness doesn't exist within us, but rather in the minds of others. After thinking for a long time, he finally came up with a test. He called his 3 sons to his bedside and said, "I have decided to divide my assets, but I don't know how to do it fairly. Perhaps you can help me. Each of you will take 2 sheets of paper. On one, write your own strengths. On the other, write the weaknesses of your 2 brothers and then have them sign it. Whether it's strengths or weaknesses, whoever can write the most and complete this task the fastest will receive the largest share of the inheritance." The 3 brothers heard this and immediately got to work, promising their father they would present the results in his room the next morning. Early the next day, all 3 were there. While the eldest and middle sons were arguing endlessly, the youngest son sat quietly to one side. His father asked him how he had fared. The youngest son said he had already gotten signatures from both of his brothers. The father was astonished and asked him how he did it. The youngest son explained, "The page listing my strengths was blank, and the page listing my brother's weaknesses was also blank. I figured that I have no strengths worth mentioning, and that they have no weaknesses. When they saw that, they found it easy to accept and were happy to sign their names." It seemed his perceived foolishness was, in fact, great wisdom. The old man then called on his 2 older sons to present their list of strengths and weaknesses. He looked them over and chuckled. The number of strengths and weaknesses on both of their papers was exactly the same. But the interesting part was this. What one brother proudly listed as his greatest strength, the other had angrily scrawled down as his most glaring weakness. Their perspectives were complete opposites. Seeing his 2 sons still arguing, the father asked his 3rd son if he had any ideas on how to help them reconcile. The youngest son said, "I suggest they first sign the paper that lists their own weaknesses. If a man is willing to acknowledge his own flaws first, his opponent will be much more likely to acknowledge his strengths." The 2 older brothers, hearing this, decided to try their brother's method, and sure enough, Everyone ended up happy. Both the strength and weakness papers were easily signed by each other. The wealthy man smiled and nodded, then compared the three brothers' lists. The youngest son had gotten his signatures at 10:01 a.m. and 10:02 a.m., just 1 minute apart. The signatures from his two older sons, however, were exactly 24 hours apart. A wise old man once gave three brothers each a letter, and inside each was a single note. It read, "Getting someone to accept your way of thinking is simple. First, you must admit your own flaws. Only then do your strengths have room to grow. Getting someone to accept your methods is just as simple. First, you must understand their feelings, not just stubbornly defend your own. The line that separates our virtues from our flaws isn't drawn within ourselves, but within the hearts of those who see us." 8. To chase a dream, you must learn to choose and let go. To achieve anything truly great in life, beyond just accumulating knowledge and skills, we have to master the art of choosing what to hold on to and what to let go of. So, what does it really take to walk confidently down the path toward our dreams and ideals? In a sprawling estate nestled in the countryside lived a father and son who were florists. The father, through years of tireless effort, had built his business from nothing. He was now a renowned horticulturalist, a name respected throughout the industry. His son, on the other hand, was blessed with immense talent and grew up with every advantage, a loving family and a comfortable life. Yet, at 35, he felt like a nobody. He was constantly haunted by this thought, unable to understand why, with all his skills and all the things he could do, he had nothing to show for it. One day, his father took him to a garden he was about to harvest. He pointed to the largest, most breathtakingly beautiful rose in the very center and asked, "Son, do you know why that rose is so much bigger and more stunning than all the others?" "Is it a new variety you bought?" the son asked. "No, they're all from the same stock, my boy." "Then you must have given it more water and more fertilizer than the rest." The son guessed again. "Not at all. They all grew in the exact same environment." "Well, then the soil must be better in that spot." "You're mistaken again. The soil is the same everywhere." The son, out of ideas, finally gave up. The father then explained gently, "Have you noticed that the other roses around it have fewer leaves and buds?" "Oh yeah, you're right. But what does that mean, Dad?" "In this entire garden, this is the only rose I tend to personally. When I see too many leaves sprouting around it, I prune them. When I see it pushing out too many shoots and buds, I trim them away." A look of understanding began to dawn on the son's face, and he nodded slowly. The father continued, "All the roses had the same chance to grow, but this one received a special gift from me, the gift of being pruned. Its nutrients weren't scattered across countless different places. They were focused on creating one perfect flower, and that is why it is bigger, more beautiful, and more brilliant than all the rest." After a moment of silence, he looked at his son. "You are much like those other roses. You are brilliant, you are so talented, and you can do so many things. But just like them, you remain ordinary because your focus is divided. Your energy and your time are scattered across too many pursuits. You need to define a single path for yourself. What is your deepest passion? What is the one thing that keeps you up at night? What is the one thing you would live and die for no matter the hardship? Pursue the thing you love more than you love yourself. And that, my son, is when you will find success." Hearing this, the son finally understood the root of his problem. Tears streamed down his face as he threw his arms around his father, thanking him for helping him see his life in a new light. Reflection. When we pursue any goal, whether it's in our careers or in other parts of our lives like love, friendship, and family, we must be single-minded. We all need to dedicate our entire heart and all our effort to what we desire, and not let the small, trivial things of the world distract us. When we find ourselves at a crossroads, we must have the courage to make a choice.
A person can be good at many things, but to truly succeed and reach a goal, they should focus on one field. Whatever you do requires commitment and loyalty, because every path is filled with challenges. If you try to stand with one foot in two different boats, you'll end up in the water, going nowhere, because your energy is divided. The true essence of success isn't in the soil, the seed, or the conditions. It lies in how we choose to cultivate our focus. So remember, the specific choice you make isn't the most important thing.
It's the attitude and the effort you bring to that chosen path that truly matters. Have the courage to let go of the options that distract you from your ultimate goal and pour your heart and mind into pursuing the things you've always dreamed of. And don't ever be afraid of failure, because life rarely has clear boundaries for right and wrong. Every ounce of effort and hard work you invest will, in the end, be rewarded. After a lifetime of striving, what are we really fighting for? The old wisdom tells us that you can have a pantry stocked for a lifetime, but you still only eat 3 meals a day. You can own a mansion with 10 floors, but you only sleep in one room at a time. You can have wagons full of treasure, but your heart can still be filled with sorrow. You can hold the highest office, but you still have to show up to work every day. All the splendor and wealth in the world, it's as fleeting as smoke in the wind. So in this life, what are we really fighting for? What do people ultimately fight for? In this chaotic world, we see people deceiving each other, blaming each other, envying each other, and it all stems from this constant need to compete. We fight openly, and we fight in the shadows. We fight for the big wins, and we squabble over the smallest scraps. Yesterday we fought, today we fight again. When you strip it all away, what is all this fighting for? It's just to feed our own selfish desires. But what if we could quiet that need to compete? It starts when you open your heart just a little wider, leaving no room for rivalry to take root. When you learn to hold on to gains and losses a little more loosely, the urge to fight simply dissolves. When your list of must-haves gets a little shorter, the competition never even starts. When you care less about fame and fortune, there's nothing left to fight for. And when you think of others' needs before your own, that competitive fire within you starts to fade. In life, there are countless reasons not to engage in this struggle, but our desires can turn each of us into a hungry lion hiding in the tall grass, barely able to control the urge to pounce. But think about it. When you finally fight for and win that power and money, your happiness often vanishes. When you claw your way to the top and get that recognition, the joy disappears, and anything you gain that wasn't meant for you will only leave your soul in a state of constant unease. In other words, the things we scheme and struggle for aren't true happiness, joy, or peace. They are their opposites: anxiety, suffering, resentment, and a deep, soul-crushing exhaustion. Wouldn't it be better to just not compete? Even if you just lessen the struggle a little bit, if you release your grip on the things you think are so important, you'll feel your world suddenly expand. Your heart will feel lighter. And because you're fighting less, you'll find yourself smiling more, reaching out to others more, giving way more, being more sincere, more enthusiastic. You'll find you have more friends, deeper connections, and a love that is more real and more profound. To let go of that need to compete, try embracing this mindset. Rich or poor, having enough to eat is good enough. Plain or beautiful, being pleasing to your own eye is good enough. Young or old, being healthy is good enough. A wealthy family or a humble one, living in harmony is good enough. Whether your partner comes home early or late, just coming home is good enough. Whether they complain a little or a lot, as long as they care for the home, it's good enough. Whether your children become doctors or street vendors, as long as they find their own peace, it's good enough. A big house or a small one, having a roof over your head is good enough. Designer clothes or simple ones, having something to wear is good enough. A difficult boss, being able to endure is good enough. All the troubles in the world, being able to resolve them is good enough. And for an entire lifetime, finding peace is truly good enough. It's not about how much money you have. A kind heart and a helping hand can change your destiny. Who is right and who is wrong? The universe already knows. That's good enough. Whether you say a lot or a little, being understood is good enough. So many things become better when you just learn to let them go. When you see the good in others, everything becomes good. When you are good, when others are good, the world becomes good. Simply put, knowing when you have enough is the ultimate good. To live without constant competition, that is the highest state of being. X, how much time do we really have to waste? So many things in this world are simply not worth our worry. In our lifetime, we face so much: breathtaking beauty and gut-wrenching pain, moments of bitter helplessness. But through it all, it's our optimism that allows us to build a beautiful life for ourselves. The great philosopher Lao Tzu once said, "Man cannot be happy for 3 days in a row." Life is not easy. The complexities of society, the responsibilities we can't shrug off, the endless hurdles, the powerlessness we feel. Today, we are so busy, we don't even have time to think about tomorrow. This is the reality we face, the beautiful moments and the painful ones, the times we have to stand by, unable to help. But it is our choice to remain optimistic that makes our lives whole. When you reach a certain age, you have to stop chasing illusions and things that aren't real. How much time do we truly have to waste? Perhaps 20 years to grow up, 20 years in our prime, 20 years of bitter struggle, and 20 years with graying hair. How many 20-year stretches do we get to do whatever we want? We have to be realistic. Even as we gaze up at the stars, we must remember to keep our feet planted firmly on the ground. You can understand all the wisdom in the world, but that doesn't guarantee you a happy life. If you can only see the destination, but you're still standing in place, that distant shore will always remain out of reach. There are so many things that bring us overwhelming joy when we get them, but make us feel like life isn't worth living when we lose them. The secret is not to care so deeply. Otherwise, the only person you'll ever hurt is yourself. If you find something that brings your soul to life, please turn it into your life's work. That will become your unending fountain of happiness. Our lives are so full of people, of moments, but how many of them truly deserve a place in our journey? Year after year, how much clarity have you truly gained? Day after day, how much have you managed to let go? All those clever plans, how much have they truly brought you? All that meticulous calculation, how much has it cost you? That burning desire for things you couldn't have, how much sorrow did it create? And in the end, all that scorekeeping, how many grudges did it leave in its wake? With unchecked greed, what harm have we caused? In this life, how much have you truly savored? And when your time comes to a close, what can you possibly take with you? A generous heart? A simple smile? This is how you embrace what the world finds hard to accept. In this world, you'll always find someone who frustrates you, someone who makes you envious, someone who forces you to grit your teeth and endure. It's not about how terrible they are, but because your own heart hasn't expanded enough to hold them. So many of us say, when things get tough, I just can't take it, and then we look for an escape. But the truth is, you can learn to master these feelings. Stop feeding the habits that hold you back. Try letting them go and instead tell yourself with conviction, I can handle this. In love, a cup that is too full will inevitably spill over. Concern that crosses a certain line becomes suffocation. Every single person needs their own space, both physically and emotionally. If you want peace of mind, you have to distinguish between the heavy burdens your soul must carry and the distant desires you chase. If you want to be serene, you must become clear about the gains and losses of this life and understand the true priorities among all your relationships. Just strive to live your own life well, to do your part to the best of your ability. By cultivating yourself, by improving your character, you bring benefit to the world.
That is the highest form of responsibility. Life is nothing more than a series of random events and unending experiences. We drift through this world, we pass through this life, and at the very end, we leave with empty hands. Are your riches truly yours? You can't take them with you. Is that fame and fortune yours? It doesn't follow you. That position of power? You can't hold on to it forever. In the short, fleeting decades we have, just do your best so that when you look back, you have no regrets. Experiencing all of life's flavors, the sweet, the bitter, and navigating its countless ups and downs transforms our existence into a vibrant tapestry. Only then is this journey not in vain, not a single moment wasted. Think openly, and you won't be lost in confusion. Let go lightly, and you won't be burdened by guilt. Understand deeply, and you will no longer cling. Throughout this life, we don't need a house full of treasure, just enough to live comfortably. We don't need countless romances, just one true, genuine connection. We don't need to reach a high and mighty status, just a place for our soul to rest. What needs to be forgotten, let it fade. What has passed, let it go. The best life is when money isn't overwhelming. Just enough is perfect. When work isn't all-consuming, a balance of busy and calm. When friends aren't numerous, just a few who truly warm your heart. This right here is the kind of happiness that is the hardest to find, yet the most worth seeking. Emotions need stability. Work needs practicality. Life needs tranquility. The more easily you're stirred, the more chaotic your mind becomes. Stillness brings a profound sense of ease. It's not just a state of mind, it's a realm of the soul. In the end, life is but two words, birth and death. Love is but together and apart. Feelings are just sadness and joy. Existence is merely ups and downs. What needs to be forgotten, let it fade. What has passed, let it go. When you're tired, sleep. When you wake up, smile. Life is truly as simple as that. As we come to the end of our journey together today, I have a small request. If you found this message practical and applicable to your life, please comment with the number 9.
If it didn't resonate, comment with a 0. Your honest feedback means the world to us. And of course, if this video brought you a moment of peace or a new perspective, please show your support by hitting that like button, subscribing to Evolve Every Day, and sharing it with someone who might need to hear this today. What was one thought from this message that stood out to you the most? Let's continue the conversation in the comments below. Thank you for your precious time.